Let's call the meeting to order. This meeting is being recorded. I would ask if there's anyone else recording this meeting. Seeing none, if you'd please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome, everyone. Special recognitions, Dr. Renaud? None?
No, we don't have any. Thank you.
And citizens' comments? Seeing none. We do have a student representative's report. Allie?
Hi.
Hi.
So happy New Year, just to start
Happy
off.
New Year.
As we transitioned out of 2019, but before we, went into the break, NHS had a successful soldier package delivery with all the goods that we've collected to donate overseas to the soldiers. They were very happy to hear and receive what we had to give them. And we also had the privilege of filling the hearts of many through Auburn Youth and Family Services and all other families we were able to give to during the holiday season as well. There are classrooms filled all over the school with just tons. If you could see all the boxes that were in each classroom, tons of things that's from as simple as toothbrushes to as big as toys and gaming systems. And it was really a good time all around at Auburn High during the Christmas time. As for NHS as well, when we came back today or yesterday, we just posted the eligibility list for those who are ready to be inducted for the March NHS ceremony. So the kids will have to apply and get in. So that's really exciting as well. It's crazy how fast the year has already gone by. It's already almost that time. And this month in AP Government with Mr. Kennard, we're prepping for our We the People competition January 25th. So, we've broken up into our groups, and next week we actually have a showcase, so students from previous years are coming in to read our speeches and just make sure we're all set for the competition then.
Wonderful.
As for Aaron, he is not able to make it today, and for the next few meetings, due to his new Auburn Indoor Marching Band program, he wanted to introduce it especially tonight. The program is split into two different clubs, the Concert Percussion Program and the Winter Guard Program. Both have started rehearsing and planning their shows, just as the Fall Marching Band has. The Concert Percussion Program consists of players on the standard percussion instruments that a marching band has, like snare drum, marimba, etc. The Winter Guard Program consists of the flag people of the marching band, and we use the flag equipment as well as dance. And that's what he wanted to say tonight, as well as play auditions were also this week too for the Ariel musical in, I think, usually April. So, yeah, that's what we had to say.
Excellent. Great report, as always. Any questions or comments, Valerie?
Thank you. I always enjoy hearing from you.
Yeah, it's nice to have you back. Thanks.
Thank you.
I would now seek approval of the meeting minutes for December 18th.
Make a motion to approve the December 18th minutes as presented.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. It is a vote. We now move on to the superintendent's report.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So this evening, as you can see, we have some guests with us this evening. We have Mrs. Watson, Mrs. Ciccarella, Mrs. Mayo, Mrs. Lapamato, and Mrs. Graves. And they have been under the direction and working closely with Dr. Chamberlain. They did the program, it'll actually end tomorrow night, a workshop series titled Strengthening Families. So I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Chamberlain and the team for them to give you an update about this report, about this program, which was new and brought to us originally through the Youth Opioid Prevention Grant. And I think you're going to hear that it really was very impactful in a tremendously positive way for some of our students' families. So I will turn it over for the presentation.
And I'm going to ask Kristen to come up. She's going to do the presentation. I did bring this to you earlier in the year, and I think you're going to be very pleased with how it played out for our families.
Alrighty. So I'm here to tell you obviously about the Strengthening Families program. I'm Kristen Mayo, the school psychologist that works at the middle school and high school, and I was the coordinator of the program and worked with all these great gals and all the families of Auburn and the students. Just first to give you a little background about the program, it's a research-based program, and it's really designed to support parents and students together to really get their communication skills to be better so they can work better as a family. Okay, thank you. So basically, the premise is that strong families reduce the risk of adverse behaviors in children. The program includes 3 skill courses: parenting skills, children's social skills, and then family skills. So basically what the program would do, it would start first, and all the families and children would come in with all the counselors. We would meet together and have a family-style dinner together. And then the parents would break off into a session with the 2 counselors that led the parent group. And then the other 2 therapists would break off in the teen section for an hour. And then they'd all come back together for the last hour and work on practicing the skills that they learned. The program really looks at a lot of different skills. It looks like how to problem solve, obviously dealing with a lot of adolescent issues within the home and parents really having difficulties communicating with their teens, looking at how they can really problem solve, how they can communicate better with their teen, looking at some peer resistance, restoring some self-esteem, identifying some feelings, and then being able to take criticism. So a lot of the lessons that we created, the teens and the parents would really be able to get back together and work on skills and actually practice using some of the skills and practice hearing sometimes what they would take as a criticism and being able to hear it from their parents and vice versa. It also looked at some emotional management and coping with anger. So the staff here, obviously I'm Kristen, and then we have the rest of the staff here. It was titled through the Title V grant, and the AMS counselors used their knowledge of their students and families to select basically the kids that we put in the program. So using our knowledge of the kids that we worked with within the schools and what they were experiencing and what we really felt like they were struggling with, we identified the kids that we thought would be beneficial and the families that would be beneficial to the program. The families who had shared the need for support, so basically any families that we felt as though were, families that would call basically saying that they were having difficulties dealing with their struggling teen at home, and then families with known personal challenges. So basically we really used all our knowledge of knowing the students and the parents to really identify the kids for this program. So we met for 8 weeks at the Auburn Middle School, and as I stated before, the dinners for families and counselors. I think this was really nice to see. I think at first, when we first started meeting, probably the first or second session, we were hoping that parents and teens would actually sit together. And I think at the first couple sessions, they probably didn't. But moving towards that, tomorrow is going to be our 8th session and our concluding session. Families are really sitting down and having a family-style dinner and really being able to talk to each other and talk amongst other teens as well during the dinner. So I think that's really been a benefit. The lunch ladies have done a fantastic job. They always come in and there's some cute decorations on the table and it's decorated nice. So I think the families really feel like we are making them kind of the important person for the night, and I think they really like that. Like I said, the parents go off with the other 2 counselors, the students go off with the other 2 counselors, and then the family session where they come back together. Typically what happens is the counselors rotate. So when we run the family sessions, typically 2 will run the group, even though all 5 of us are in there for the family session. So if there are students who are having difficulties doing some like role playing and doing some different types of things that we're asking them to do, some of us can support them kind of in the background while 2 other people are leading the group. So it's actually a nice fit. So the outcomes, I think there's fabulous outcomes. I don't know if you guys want to share any. What I've noticed is, I've really gotten to know the parents that have come. So we ended up with 6 families that came consistently. We had 1 family that had to withdraw just for personal reasons. But the families are really, communicating. They're really looking at each other. I think they found friends within each other. They're actually using each other as resources. When they are struggling within the home, they may actually reach out to another parent, which is nice. And I think the kids just, they're constantly like finding us in the hallways, coming to us if they need a problem. So I really think it's given them more support within the schools, that they can really go to some different staff members, which is nice. I definitely think they've all increased their communication skills. They've done well at conflict resolution. Of course, they're teens, so that might come up again where they struggle again, but I hope that they've learned some skills that they can kind of put in a toolbox, and the toolbox can be something that they access where they can start communicating better with their parents and vice versa. I can't say enough about the school staff. Deepened relationships. Do you guys want to say anything? No? All right, girls. All right. So this is the best part. So I was actually adding this to the slide, and we basically, knowing that we were going to be presenting tonight in the last classes tomorrow night, we had them take a survey the last time we were all together. and basically to try to find out, did they feel it was a beneficial program? You know, what are some things that they've learned from it? And these are just some quotes that I took. We gave the kids a survey too, and the kids didn't do so well at completing the survey. They answered a lot of yes and no questions, but they didn't really give us anything as far as like some quotes. I think one student responded, and he said, "My mother does so much better using all the techniques you taught her in class." I don't know if that's a good thing. You know, so I thought that was good. But just some of the feedback. So the Strengthening Families program has been very helpful for my family. I learned so many ways to work with my daughter. I hope they can continue to offer this program for families with kids with so many challenges because it's been good. Another parent says, "I have a fifth grader starting at AMS in 2020. I would love to see this program. Hopefully my referral can occur again." So she's hoping to be re-referred for the program. "This is great for me, so I know I'm not the only parent with struggles. I don't feel so alone," and they thought the staff was wonderful, which we agree. "I feel the class was very useful and helped me with my children being able to cope with my anger and dealing with their frustrations." So what we really felt like is the parents got to talk about kind of the frustration that they were dealing with as, you know, dealing with teens, you know, and coming up with some coping strategies. And I think what we found is a lot of the parents don't have really a lot of coping strategies, and they weren't putting those in place and taking time for themselves. So then when they had to deal with a problem with their teen, they were having difficulty. Both my children have enjoyed coming and participating in the class. I felt that the counselors were very helpful in their advice for situations we had at home with our children. I enjoyed the other families' and parents' advice, especially if they had like-minded children. I felt this was a nice time to spend with my children as well. This parent had missed one of the classes. She says that the pamphlets were helpful when I wasn't able to make the class because it gave her something to reference. It kept me focusing on the positive. Thank you all. So I think there's so many positives that came out of this program. We provided even some childcare, so we basically tried to remove all the barriers for the program. So if families had, you know, some younger children, they wouldn't have to be responsible for getting a babysitter. They would actually bring the kids, and we would have some National Junior Honor Society students watch them. And then there's a night that I watched a few of them. My office looked great after that night, but yeah, much to play with. So really the goal is to remove all the barriers so the families can really focus on their skills as a parent and their child's skills as a teen and really working together to communicate. So I can't say enough about the program and, you know, how well it's been. I think, I don't know if it was Sherry or Karen or Kim, but I think some families have actually reached out to you guys and looked for outside resources for them. So that just shows you that they feel comfortable. You know, I think the big thing we found out within the program is that it's really hard for parents to say that they're struggling. It's really hard for parents to say, you know, I'm having a hard time parenting my child. So I think with the program, I think it's really gotten them to feel more comfortable and feeling secure to reach out to one of us and ask for help, which is nice. Future plans is to offer 2 spring follow-up sessions with the participating families that we have now, and then to hopefully offer the program at additional schools next year. And that's the end of the presentation. I don't know if anybody has any questions.
Any questions, comments?
Through the chair, I do. I can just say from everything I hear, both in my own home and outside, I think you hit the nail on the head in terms of parents not feeling like they can freely express that they're struggling with their kids. Because I feel like everyone is in the middle school age bracket.
Definitely.
So I'm really pleased that this was a really successful program, and I'm wondering if there is any way that some of the information could be condensed down. I know we've had a couple of programs before where we've had speakers come in and talk to parents, or if there can be handouts that can go to all of the parents, not just the ones in the program. Obviously in a much more condensed version though.
With just some tips or strategies for parents.
Yeah, exactly. So that would be my one ask if that would be possible.
You could send it to Jay Harrington.
Well, believe me, we're skilled counselors, and I think some of the kids, you know, had us on our toes a few weeks. You know, it was hard to manage at times, but I think now that we're towards the end of the session, I think, you know, some of the kids have really developed some skills that they feel proud of. We plan on having our last dinner tomorrow night and doing our last class, and then having a graduation with a cake and everything to celebrate. So I think it'll be a nice closing to the program.
And then through
And
the
I'll say
chair,
those,
just to follow up though, you mentioned, so I meant to actually ask too, if during any of the courses of the school curriculum, if any of these, I know we're focusing on social and emotional skills, including coping and communication, are some of these themes kind of woven into any of the current curriculum? Is that where you were going?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, through second step, they are certainly at the elementary level. And these are all, these are skills. The key to this program is the relationship piece. And it's really interesting to me that throughout our work, it always comes back to that, right? Whether it's a teacher in a classroom or it's a school committee and a school community, right? It's all about the strength of the relationship. And these folks, I will share, had a bit of anxiety at the start of all this.
Yes.
Because it was an overwhelming responsibility, I think, to kind of take on to work with families in this capacity. But as the relationships developed, they enjoyed going, and the dinners and our food service, Janice King and her staff, made these they had tablecloths and centerpieces and just made it really a lovely thing to be at. And I think that's what led to the success that we found through this. And it is a little bit different because you're dealing with families in that relationship, right? Which usually at school we're working with either the children or the family. This was unique in the fact that everybody was at the table for a really concerted length of time. But I can't give enough kudos to these folks for putting this together, getting families to commit to this many nights in a row during kind of a busy time of the year. But I think they found such value in it. So really added a lot to the programming that we do in schools and work with kids all the time, but just a little bit of a twist to it by bringing the families together.
Thank you. Thanks for clarifying. That's great. So,
Any other comments, questions?
I was just going to say, you said you had 6 families?
Yes.
Were you equipped to handle more if more had been interested, or was that kind of like the limit?
No, it's not the limit. I mean, I think the best number would be around 10 or 8 or 10. We had 8 going into it. There was another family that really just didn't want to commit to it at this point. And then that one family came for probably 3 sessions, and then I think had some issues within the home where they had to withdraw. I think 6 was a nice number, but I think we can definitely take 10,
Yeah,
depending
you
on the different kids.
And word of mouth maybe from the other families might help.
Yeah.
More people feel encouraged to come now.
Yeah, I do reminder phone calls every week, and when the parents answer, they're like, "Hi, Kristen. Yes, we know we're coming. Yeah, we got you." Which is nice because normally, when you call home for something like this, sometimes parents don't answer. So it's good.
Yeah. Well, thank you, all of you, for putting in all that extra time.
No problem.
I mean,
There were a lot, there were other families that we did offer it to, but because of conflicts with sports, their own family,
Sure.
things like that they just couldn't commit at the time.
Yeah.
And they said, "Are you offering one in the spring?" Like, hold on, wait. Get our feet wet.
yeah. But I mean, that's really nice of all of you to offer your time after school hours like that and give up time with your own families to be with these other families, so definitely appreciate it.
Dr. Manel?
So through the chair, I just want to echo what Dr. Chamberlain said, because I remember, so this started back with Dr. Lizzie was here, and Dr. Chamberlain stepped in and has done a tremendous job. But to these ladies here, there was an awful lot of trepidation because they were particularly going to be wading into uncharted waters. And when you do that, you're uncertain of what it's going to be like. But I give them such kudos for doing it. And I think the benefit that we've seen, we all said, what, let's jump in. Of course, it's easy for me to say because I wasn't jumping. Let's jump in and let's give it our best shot. And I remember seeing you at the night of the it was the unified basketball game, and you had been downstairs and they had coordinated so that the families could go and be up there and things. And as I was leaving that event, just the excitement in their voices about how positive the program was going. So I think word of mouth, I think that there will be people waiting to be part of it in the future, quite
That'd be
honestly.
good.
So tremendous, great job, all of you. Thank you very much, very much.
Yep, I would echo the sentiments of all of my colleagues here. It seems like a great program. I find it hard that you veterans were at all rattled going into it, because I've worked with the majority of you, at least had some serious conversations, and no, you're professionals all the way, and I'm sure that this program is going to succeed based on everything that you put into it, and it's much appreciated. And as Jesse Harrington said, if you want to send one of those packets to my house, I'll take one as well. I might not show up for the dinner, maybe the cake at the end. But no, we're all in the same boat, and it's great that you wanted to help out and give of yourselves. So, thank you so much. Thanks for that presentation. That was great. I think your colleagues could have helped you out a little bit. She was asking for a little help. And you were like, no, you got this.
Yeah.
No, thank you so much. Have a wonderful evening. Come back anytime.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Have a great day.
Have a
Good night. Thank you.
Thank you.
Great job. Thank you. All right, moving right along.
I just have a follow-up question, actually, through the chair. Can you just explain the second step thing a little bit more? Is that at the Swiss level and younger? Okay, so it's the same, like a guidance program?
Yes.
Okay, and I'm sure you brought it up in the past, but there's a lot of information all the time.
Yeah, and we recently, I want to say maybe 2 years ago, got the updated version. It's a program that's been very well established and around for quite some time. But we now have the updated version that offers some additional resources, but speaks to many of the issues that she cited: conflict resolution, making friends, anxiety, like things like that.
Is it in addition to PBIS or part of it or completely?
It works as a complement to PBIS. Yeah. So
Is it
PBIS
more
is more a kind of a philosophy, right? That the more you emphasize the positive, the more positive you get. Second step is more of a structured curriculum that kind of guides you through the conversation about a variety of different types of issues.
Okay, great, thank you.
Oh, that's okay.
So in your packet, if you recall, last time we made some adjustments, or you approved some adjustments to the preschool program, but we did want to bring to you, just to reaffirm, that the sliding fee scale still is in effect, and we adjusted it accordingly. So depending on a family's income, the cost to send their child to the preschool program could be as inexpensively as free, or up to basically half price to do that. So, and we encourage families each year, since it's been in place, we have a number of families who take advantage of this, and we even do outreach sometimes if we see that families are starting to struggle with paying, just to make sure and encourage them to complete the paperwork, because it's in place for that reason. So it's been a great benefit. Great benefit. In your packet, actually it would have come electronically to you, the Assabet Valley Collaborative. So 3 pieces of information: the 2019 annual report, the FY 2019 letter from the auditor to the Board of Directors, and the FY 2019 approved financial statements. So it is my recommendation, you don't need to vote to approve them, but just to accept them. It's required by regulation that occur.
I would entertain that motion.
I'll make a motion to accept the FY 2019 annual report of the ABC. I guess that's the FY 2019 letter from the auditor to the Board of Directors of ABC, and the FY 2019 approved financial statements.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, it is a vote.
Did we miss a vote on the preschool sliding fee?
Yeah, I would also entertain that motion.
Make a motion to approve the adjusted preschool sliding fee scale as presented.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, it is a vote.
The next item is the Encore program, and we put in your packet the brochure that has been created. It is still, I will tell you, a work in progress, because we are continuing to solicit local businesses. So really the intention around this program, it's for our students who, as you know, students with special needs are eligible, our most special needs students, eligible to be educated through 22 or until they actually graduate high school. So this program, we have the Rise and Evolve programs up at the high school that you've seen. This program would be the next step in that, really about linking, as the title says, the educational next steps, creating opportunities for real world experiences. So really about getting that vocational component, helping these students to really continue to hone their job skills, and then eventually, hopefully, be potentially successfully hired by local businesses. So we have, currently we use one of our local collaboratives at Assabet Valley for students who may need that. But that's in Marlboro. And so they are engaging in businesses out in that area. And we thought we can certainly do this here in our own community with local businesses. And as you can see, we've outreached an additional 15 to include the community partners that we already have in place. So we're hopeful that this is really going to be a benefit for our students. And it's actually going to be housed here. So we've made some updates to our kitchen area because students would come in, they would make their lunches, they might do some baking or cooking. And in the blue room, we're going to share that space with them. They're going to have some workstations where they may have to do some work and some scheduling. There'll be some support, social emotional supports for the students. They have some financial literacy trainings and such. So we're excited about this, and we've got students. They're going to start rolling them out at team meetings for kids to have this start up in the fall. But and we're going to be able to do it with staff that we have in place. So it's really exciting. We'll be bringing to you some updated job descriptions because in addition to professional staff who will support, we currently have staff in Rise and Evolve who go out with students for their internships at local Park and Shop, Auburn Youth, St. Vincent's and such. Masterman's is new this year. So we may actually change the title for the people in this program to be potentially like an assistant job coach of some sort, and we utilize Rocket 1 or Rocket 2 to transport the kids there. So we're finalizing the details, but we're very excited about this. We had a meeting, Dr. Chamberlain, Mrs. Reedy, and Mr. Hanfield and I this morning. We'll get back together with the team from the high school, but it's going to be a good thing. So, and if you think of any other businesses that aren't listed here or on the back as community partners, certainly share those with us and we'll outreach. We sent these letters just before the holiday break. And Mrs. Quirion, who's our transition coordinator / job coach, she's reaching out personally to see and give people ideas about how our young students could potentially partner with them. So do feel free to let us know if other ideas come to you.
Two questions, if I might. Is Encore a commercial name, or is that a name we came up with?
That's the name we came up with.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can we talk to the casino about changing their name?
Oh.
Every time I see Encore, that's what I think.
So through the chair, I didn't even think of that. Now that you say it, it does ring a bell. But honestly, as we were thinking about this, we have the RISE program, we have the EVOLVE program, and to me it was something that I had come up with the name of that, the Encore, and then we all brainstormed on, okay, so that what's it going to stand for? Because these students have really finished their time based on age-wise in high
Right.
school. So this is almost the encore, to high school, but yet they're still, we have a couple of students in particular who we're very excited. I'll have to come back and visit them, who are here next year because you can tell when they're high school, they're kind of done with high school.
Yeah.
It's like they've been there for 4 or 5, maybe 5 years anyway. And they're ready for the next step. So, yeah, I didn't even think about the casino. So
Well, I can just see the billboard on 290 all the time.
Yeah.
It's like-
We would also have to address the TV dinner company.
Oh, yeah, that's
Oh,
right.
I too.
I
Yeah.
think we're safe.
I don't think they have the E in it.
Three-way
though.
battle now, we're good.
My other question is, are you looking for places outside of Auburn also?
Really, I think our intention is, as the brochure really describes, is that, there are interest inventories that are done with these students. So what are you hoping to do, post-high school? So we're really trying to build the program around what students have expressed their interest in. And many of them have said they'd like to, continue doing some work with the schools, but that eventually, not all of them, want to live with their parents. So they're going to be living in this community. So part of it will be like travel training, getting on the RTA bus, and they do that with Rise and Evolve, and how do you maneuver through the community. There is at least one who has indicated that once done the program, would eventually like to live independently in perhaps a group home and things. So we're really trying to tailor it, but what we think is unique, as opposed to the collaborative program, which is great, is that they're in their own community and that they're here, and when they go to church or they go to the store or go, they're actually engaging with people that they're likely to be with, on a
The
regular
only reason I
basis.
was thinking outside of Auburn is Market Basket in
Mhm.
Oxford.
Mhm.
Actually has hired a number of our special education
nice.
students, and they've
Nice.
been there for some time now.
So I would say to you, through the chair, we're not opposed because we actually use Big Y in Southbridge. They've been great. That's been a long-standing relationship with them too.
So,
So we could certainly do that.
yeah, I mean, they've been wonderful.
That's
I
great.
mean, our students are flourishing there. I can think of like 6 boys that
Oh, great.
recognize me and I recognize them.
That's awesome.
They've
Nice.
been there. That's good. And on a personal note, I have a distant family member or a cousin of a cousin that has special needs and went through a training as a young adult to work in a business, and she's probably 45 now. But when you meet her, she's still childish, but she's so proud of her job.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's all she can talk about,
That's right.
and the work she does, and how she gets paid.
Right.
And I mean, it is.
Yeah.
It's such a great experience for
Yeah.
these young people.
Absolutely.
I'd like to see this really succeed too.
That's great.
That's great, yeah.
Great.
I think it's a great program. We just need to get the word out there, and I don't know the best way to do that, but possibly reach out to some other town, and some town partners, Chamber of Commerce, may have some real business connections.
Yeah.
I don't know what other way to advertise it other than word of mouth, but there are definitely businesses out there that would be interested.
I agree.
I think it's a great program, so thanks for putting that together.
Yeah,
I
we're
look forward
excited.
to seeing how it goes in the future.
Yeah, I'm really excited.
Yep.
Through the chair. Also, I know Shaw's also
Yeah.
has some special needs students that work there.
Yeah, so they're definitely, we'll add them on the list too, we'll add them to the list because we actually have a student who has great interest in working there.
Oh, okay. Great.
And we
Also,
have, go ahead.
I see Mr. Fahey in all these pictures, so I assume he's kind of the front runner in this
So
program.
I will tell you through the chair, he actually went in, this is through the Rise and Evolve program, and he showed them about simple electrical circuits. As you can see, they did some work about the toilet and the drains and things, and they absolutely loved it because it was all hands-on, and who doesn't love Mr. Fahey? So,
But he's
but
got a lot of patience.
absolutely, and in fact, this really is a natural progression off of a number of years ago. We brought forward to you the summer program that we use some of our 240 grant funds. So we have students who sign up to work in our preschool summer program, who work in our custodian department and also in our technology department. So that really is where some of that work stems from with Mr. Fahey. But we'll continue. And if other ideas come to you, actually the Chamber of Commerce, we have a meeting in February, so we'll be sure and mention to them because we have business
Good.
partners that go to that meeting as well.
Excellent. Any other comments or questions?
Just thank all those
Yeah.
staff members involved. That's
Yeah.
a lot of
It is. It's
extra work.
great.
All right, moving on.
So shared with you a sample of the high honor and honor roll letters for trimester 1 that Dr. Chamberlain and I signed. There were a number of them from the high school and middle school, but we were both wishing we had much shorter names by the end of our signatures. But we thought the least we could do was handwrite them. And in fact, Mrs. Landry, a secretary at Bryn Mawr School, said to me, we were over probably for the holiday concert, that her son, who's now in the armed services, that she had posted it years ago on the board, and he said she didn't sign that letter. And this is probably back when I signed it on my own. And she said, I know her signature. She really did sign it. And I said, you tell him. We just got done signing another huge pile. So I think the kids appreciate it, which is nice.
Yeah.
The primary configuration team, just a quick update. I anticipate that probably at the meeting of February 5th, we will come to you. We have Mrs. McCurlis is a school committee rep and parent on the committee. There is a team of us. We met on November 20th, December 9th, and we'll meet again. It says on January 8th. It's actually January 9th that we're going to meet. Tonight's the 8th. And we're hopeful, based on the agenda, that we'll have some recommendations. So we initially went into this wondering, did it make sense to potentially put our pre-K and K classes together and our grades 1 and 2 classes together. But from that discussion, we really then started talking about, how do we try to make sure that there are equitable class sizes? How do we make sure that special education students' needs are being met? And they have been historically for at least the past 12 years and perhaps a bit more, have been solely concentrated at Bryn Mawr School, and is there a way to maybe balance that a little bit? And then we've even looked at the dividing line. So not to steal the thunder of the primary configuration team, we'll be sure and come back to you in February with an update. But I will say, because I know there's been an awful lot of discussion and concern and perhaps even worry out there, that we were going to be dismantling the neighborhood schools of Bryn Mawr School and Packagug, and quite honestly, pretty quickly, I would say even at our first meeting in November, that really came off the table. It really was not going to solve anything. So we anticipate that Bryn Mawr will continue to look and feel in K-1-2 the same way that Packagug will K-1-2. So we're also talking about preschool. Is there a way, because we've got 2 classes at the Packagug school, we have 3 classes at the high school, is there a way to pull them together as a more cohesive unit? So that's the other component we're looking at. So we're excited to share, and I know that some rumors perhaps got the better of some people, but I think people will be pleased come February.
It sounds like you're making minimal changes, mostly to address preschool
Correct. Yeah.
issues and
Yeah.
things.
Yeah. So I think we'll be in good shape.
And through the chair, I said before, I think that makes sense to have all of our preschool classrooms under one roof.
Mhm.
It would only benefit the children
Right.
even more.
Right.
And, parents being able to bond with each other.
Right.
So I
Right.
think that is very important.
Yeah. Agreed. Thank you.
Even though it's gonna cause some scuttlebutt, I'm sure.
Oh,
but-
change always does, right? We know that. But and I will say this, and what we've said as this primary configuration, or really any change or issue that we bring forward, is the students and their needs are always at the center. So if it's going to benefit students, we as adults need to learn to be flexible towards that and things. And I do think that the ultimate recommendations that come out will have the students at the forefront, which is most important. So.
And it's not gonna be a unilateral, let's switch everybody up.
Right.
Yeah, no,
Right.
not at all.
And then finally, a donation to the preschool program. As you saw in the, Sarah Lemovitz is the preschool nurse, and she serves as an ABA as well. She had outreached Walmart in Oxford just to try and get some items in a clothing closet. So they donated a $50 gift card. So it is my recommendation that you accept that with gratitude.
I would entertain that motion.
Make a motion to approve with gratitude the donation in the amount of $50 to the AHS preschool program.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, there's a vote. We now move on to unfinished business.
So just wanted you to be aware, Mrs. Worsbicky, at our last school committee meeting, she attended the finance committee meeting, and they unanimously supported the warrant article, which is really to do an amendment for the CIP, so that is good news. And then, as you know, 2 weeks from last night is the special town meeting that's being held. The warrant, I know Mrs. Zotner shared with you today, it is a very brief warrant. It really is primarily focused on the Drury Square redesign, but we did present an article. So typically we have a school committee meeting prior to it, so I encourage us to do that because we've canceled the meeting on the 22nd, and you need to decide whether you'd like to start at 6 or 6:30 in the guidance office.
May I ask, are we gonna need extra time, or is the 6:30 start time enough?
So, to my knowledge, and through the chair, I think the 6:30 time should be sufficient. I don't know of any issues or controversies at all, and it should be minimal time that we need.
All right, I would entertain that motion.
Make a motion to hold the school committee meeting prior to the special town meeting beginning at 6:30 PM in the AHS guidance office.
Do I have a second?
Second?
Any discussion?
Nope, it's fine.
I guess if something came up, you could always shift the start time.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, there's a vote.
And then finally tonight, you do need to vote because as of Monday the 13th, we need to submit the FY21 draft budget. As noted in here, and we did make the adjustments from last meeting, the reduction of $3,000 and $5,000 from Bryn Mawr and Swiss due to the oil reduction price that Mrs. Worsbicky secured. We currently are at a budget that has an increase of 3.34%. I did bring forward to you budget reduction scenarios. I anticipate that those are going to continue to be fluid and change. So I would not recommend that we send those forward to the town manager. I would certainly have a conversation with both Town Manager Jacobson and CFO Kazanovich, but let them know that we have reduction scenarios that cumulatively bring us down to slightly more than a 2% increase. We got word today that Governor Baker's budget is expected to be announced on January 22nd, so just a couple of weeks from now. That should show the impact of the Student Opportunity Act, but if you remember from years past, Governor Baker's recommended budget, in fact, I don't know that there was a year where the legislature, the House and then the Senate, didn't have an increase beyond that amount. Now, Auburn didn't always see an increase because a lot of times coming out with Governor Baker's numbers, they were pretty healthy there. So I think giving, the Student Opportunity Act, the Chapter 70 monies, I think it's wise to wait to send this forward and respectfully noting that we have budget reduction scenarios and they'll be brought back to the committee once we have more information.
I would agree with that. And I would entertain that motion.
Make a motion to set forward the FY 2021 draft budget to the town manager of $27,832,657.65, which reflects an increase of 3.34%, noting that the budget reduction scenarios have been completed.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. There's a vote.
Thank you.
And we now move on to new business.
So, did want to just share briefly before here, Mr. Hanfield and I had the opportunity to attend with Maura Anish, the superintendent scholar, the luncheon yesterday that was held. It was actually held, it says Assumption, it was held at Holy Cross College. And it was, as always, a tremendous ceremony. I can pass the brochure around. Maura's picture is here on the front page. And I had the opportunity to read the names of some of those students recognized. And it is always, I think all of us superintendents agree, you leave there feeling like we just didn't accomplish nearly enough in high school as compared to what many of these young people do. Not only do they do community service, but they're winning awards and they're playing instruments, they're academic, and the number of AP and honors courses they take is really outstanding. So it was a great, great program. And Maura has been accepted to Wheaton, which is her top choice, but she's still waiting to hear from several other extremely prestigious, and she indicated that her parents are quite happy because Wheaton has offered a considerable financial package
And
to
that's
her.
Wheaton
which is-
College in Mass?
Yes,
That's
yes.
excellent.
So she's excited, and I said, well, you must be breathing easier. Your top choice, you got a great package, and now you get to sit back and wait and see what other people give you. So
Yeah.
other organizations. So it's all good. I did note in here with my impending retirement in June for some decisions that you obviously need to make. So, and there could be others, but ones that I had thought about is whether you want to do an external search, an internal/external, or to keep it internal only. And I drafted with Mrs. Zotner a job, the job description is there, which I think could remain as is if you support it. But the posting that could go out, my recommendation would be that we post it tomorrow, and that giving it 2 weeks, January 23rd, should give ample time for individuals to put their packets together. And then the goal being, I think, for you to make an appointment in early to at the latest mid-February. Because if it is an internal individual, that could then domino requiring another posting to happen. And this is prime posting and hiring season for administrators across the Commonwealth.
All right, well, thank you for that. Thank you for putting that together. Has everyone had an opportunity to look that over?
Yes.
I also did. I didn't see anything that really stood out to me.
I didn't see anything either. I thought it looked very above board and
Yep.
Through the chair, for 3 current letters of recommendation, do you usually ask for professional letters of recommendation, or do we leave that up to them? It's just not.
So, typically, we write 3 letters of recommendation. Sometimes for administrative ones, we say, and with one at least being written by a direct supervisor. And depending if it went internal, and I wasn't sure on that, so we had changed it slightly to say that speak to the candidate's capacity
Okay.
to lead a high-performing school district. I think is probably the more, I think would reap you what you'd be looking to see, I think.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So we're not gonna get a letter from someone's bowling partner.
Although,
My mommy would make a good
You don't want to-
superintendent.
You don't want to
Right.
read
I
it
think
anyway.
that's very fitting.
Yeah.
So, do we want to approve the job description, or do we want to have a discussion surrounding internal or external, or both?
Well, my comments would be internal and go with the job description. So,
I would agree with that, and I think I'll just sort of replay my sentiments from last time. I know of at least a couple of people who are more than qualified in the district, and that was my reasoning for my sentiments that last time, to keep things internal. What I think we do by saying that, by keeping it internal, is we're saying we have faith in you. We appreciate the job that you've done thus far for all of these years. We know that you're competent. And what I don't want to say is that, all that being said, I think we might be able to find someone better.
yeah.
And that's the way I look at it. It's putting it bluntly. I don't know if we could find someone better. I don't want to find someone better. We've got people that have put their heart and soul into this district, so
Yeah.
I would prefer to keep it internal.
I agree, honestly.
And I'm coming from the perspective that I worked through people that thought they'd come into Auburn and fix it all up and change it, and it was basically a disaster. And it made for a lot of hard feelings and animosities between teachers and school committee, and I don't want to see that again. I really don't.
I agree.
So shall we put that to a vote, Dr. Renaud?
I think so, yes, that would be great.
Can I just, through the chair, not to be nitpicky, but can we just capitalize for ability to manage, maintain, demonstrate, utilize, just so it's all linear? Under the,
Oh,
I'm
sorry.
sorry,
Yeah.
under the job description.
No, I should.
Oh, yes.
The rest of them are capitalized.
Yes.
Everywhere else.
Yes, we
Sorry.
can. No, that's usually, through the chair, something I
Nice catch.
really want to see too, so that's a good one.
I think it's a valid under education as well, wasn't capitalized.
Oh, yes, yep.
All right, I would entertain a motion to keep the superintendent search internal.
I'll make a motion to keep the superintendent search internal and
Sure.
to
Approve the job
approve
description.
the job description with capitalized changes.
Okay. Do I have a
I'll
second?
second that.
Any discussion? All
No.
in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Through the chair, what I'm going to offer then is with the job posting, I would simply add at the top, because we'd send it out internally here, but sometimes people share it, to just note that it's only open to current members of the Auburn Public Schools team. So that way everybody knows that it's internal posting. So
Yes.
we'll make that change. Thank you.
All right, so that also covers the job posting, or are we again voting on that? Did we
Yeah.
vote on the description?
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah,
we're
I
good.
think we're good.
It's all good there. Did we want to discuss the possibility of the interview team at this point, and how that would work? I know we brought it up briefly before.
Right, right.
Do we want to?
Executive session.
I'm sorry.
Brought up an executive session.
So I wonder if we do the posting now and give some consideration to it, and when we meet on the 21st, perhaps we can have that
Okay.
discussion then.
Yeah.
And depending if you think more time might be needed, then you might warrant a 6 o'clock start time
Yeah,
prior to town meeting.
Oh, yeah.
Might-
makes sense.
Might give you a little
Mhm.
more opportunity to do that.
everyone in agreement?
Yeah.
Sounds great,
Okay.
thank you.
So how, through the chair, how do we discuss that with each other without breaking meeting laws?
No, what I would
That will be an
suggest,
open meeting though.
we would be in an open
No, I
meeting on the
know.
21st.
I mean, like, prior to even that, or are we not even allowed to discuss with each other
You-
what we would wanna do?
So long as, you can't have a quorum, so 3 of you could not be discussing something
No,
at the
right.
same time,
Okay.
so, and shouldn't deliberate over email, but I think, just to give some consideration to it, and in fact, I think it might be wise to have the meeting start at 6 o'clock on the 21st for this reason, and that way you can hash it out. The posting won't close until the 23rd, but oftentimes individuals submit their applications, it's a 2-week period, so I think by the 21st, we'll have a good sense of what we have for applications, so you might be able to have, and as long as you're not in an open meeting, you can discuss anything about it. Yeah.
Okay, so why don't we do that? I would entertain a motion to start that meeting on the 21st at 6 PM instead of 6:30 PM.
Make a motion to amend the motion and make it a 6 a.m. start date.
6 PM. Unless you want me to go to my jammies.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, it is a vote. All
I
right.
am an early bird.
So with regard to school choice, this is a vote that you need to take annually. It is my recommendation that we maintain the same levels for next year. As you saw, we reviewed the NESDEC data. This will not have a negative impact in any way on that. So it is my recommendation that we maintain those.
I would entertain that motion.
Make a motion to approve the school choice at Auburn High Middle School at the same levels for 2020 to 2021 school year.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, it is a vote.
And then it's the time of year that we start to look at the school calendar. We'll actually meet as a leadership team a week from today. So I just wanted to know if there was any specific guidance. As you know, we restored the February vacation. This year we'll have it for the full time. But if there are any special considerations that you'd like us to consider, otherwise we'll return, professional development time, February vacation, April, or any other changes.
I would entertain that motion.
No. I don't have any guidance.
Or through the chair, I could bring,
Can I see the
Right.
calendar?
so, sure, in fact, what we can
We don't
do
have a-
is, we can add this to the agenda for the 21st too, so we can send you the
Yeah.
current school year's calendar, and we can also start to look at, keeping it the same as it is this year, basically just shifting the dates, keeping February vacation, April vacation, and plugging in the PD days, and then doing it without it there.
Okay.
It's the first year you've restored it, so I'm assuming you may want to keep it for another year to at least wait and see, but we can share that with you.
Sounds good,
And I
so,
think the start date of the school year is also
Mhm.
something
Oh, I've
to
heard
think
so.
about too.
It's
Okay.
usually the Wednesday, don't we usually do the Wednesday, students go back the Wednesday before Labor Day weekend?
Yes.
And then teachers go back the
Monday,
Monday or
Tuesday.
Tuesday.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I usually do.
I mean, at one time, there was a push to get out as early in June as possible because of the heat in the buildings,
Mm.
but we're air conditioned now, so.
Mm.
And through the chair,
I
we're
don't see any
partially
reason to-
bound to the teachers' contracts for that.
Correct. Yes.
So, some of that we really don't have,
And
for the
the
start
PD
days.
Too, right?
And the start
Is that
date.
in that contract?
Right.
So the PD days, this is in multiple contracts, so staff members come the day before school starts and the day after school ends. The teacher's contract is 185 days, so they have 3 professional development days during the year. And the teacher's contract does state in terms of if school begins prior to Labor Day, that students must be in school a minimum of 2 days and a maximum of 3 days. So
Really limits our.
it does, it's a bit bit confining. So, and at the end of the day, so a change that was made 5 years ago is we go to school on Good Friday, and actually our attendance rate is pretty good, is good. We still have a half day before the Thanksgiving break. Attendance is somewhat lower, than normal. Some schools have eliminated that day altogether. Having the kids in for the half day counts and things, and I mean, the 180 days, so far this school year we've had 3 snow days already. We can't control,
Right.
The weather, although the pattern seems to have slowed, and we're going to have some warm weather this weekend. We've got to get 180 days in, and right now I think our final day of school is, I think, the 17th of June, which is, I think, a Wednesday, and teachers and staff who come in on that Thursday, the 18th. And, if we have a couple more, which seems likely, if it stays in years past, because our snowiest days have usually been in late January and February, and sometimes even in March. So what I know is there's no perfect calendar that's going to make everybody happy.
No.
That's the one thing I know for sure. But we'll put together some drafts, and we'll share what the calendar is for this year, too.
And I think coming from the teacher's point of view, and probably for families that like to vacation, if you kind of stick with the same calendar year after year, they kind of can
Right.
plan when they're going to leave, when they're going to come back,
Mhm.
with pretty good faith that this will be in
Yeah.
place.
Sure, sure. Yep.
Rather than all, jump here, jump there.
All right. Thank you for that. Moving on.
And then the upcoming events, we have jumped right back into full swing of things. I think the Aladdin is coming up next weekend. Promises to be outstanding as usual. And next weekend is also our second no homework long weekend. So I think that people are looking forward to that.
Excellent. We now move on to teaching and learning. Dr. Chamberlain.
So we do have a half professional day coming up next Friday. So we've been planning for that. Most of the half days are more building-based kind of work, so teachers are staying in their buildings, working with their colleagues. Elementary school is going to really focus on re-examining some of the math units to make sure that if there's anything that that Go Math doesn't seem to be providing, that we're filling that gap. And likewise, if we think there are things that aren't really meeting the objectives we want the students to meet, that we're going to take those out. So really minor kind of tweaks, but another chance to look at the program. The middle school is really working on their advisory block and building that into something. Right now, it's considered their win block, right? What I need. But within that, they're hoping to do within that advisory kind of programming where they're talking about current things that are impacting kids at that level. But that needs to be done in a thoughtful and concerted manner. So they're still doing a lot of staff work around that. And at the high school, Mr. Hanfield has really focused this year on student engagement and restorative justice. And so that continues to develop, where they've done some changes to their scheduling to build in more opportunities for those conversations. So all of that will continue on. Guidance counselors are going to be looking again to get more understanding around trauma and trauma in the classroom. And Mrs. Reedy and I are going to be working with all special educators around specially designed instruction and what that looks like in our co-taught classrooms to see if there are things that we can provide to them to help them to be even more effective than they already are. The next big event coming up is preschool and kindergarten registration, which always sneaks up on me in February. But it will take place at Auburn High School. We are continuing. I've been working with Karen Berkowitz and Mr. Bouvier around our online registration system to make that really add a few components onto that to make it even more seamless than it's been, which has been very helpful. So we'll have iPads available for families if they can't do the registration at home. And we're hoping to get that ball rolling. So we'll be planning for our incoming kiddos before we know it.
Great. Thank you for that report. And now we move on to everyone's favorite time of the evening, business and financial.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
To start off, I've included in your packet a year-to-date budget report that's dated January 3rd. I don't have any transfers for you tonight, but I will have a list for you for next meeting. So And then moving on, it's that time again for the approval of the bus application for the school year 2021. The fee will remain the same at $100 for students having to pay with the $250 family cap. The due date we're going to keep as June 1st, the same as it was last year. So all the applications will need to be here at 5 West Street by June 1st or sent in the mail with a postmark of June 1st with no exceptions. We've kept the $100 late fee for those families not registering prior to the June 1st deadline. And for that, there is no cap. If you do not meet the registration deadline, you do have to pay for the $100 late fee for every child. It's my recommendation that you approve the bus application tonight so we can get this out to families for their planning purposes.
I would entertain that motion.
I make a motion to approve the bus application for 2020-2021 school year.
Second?
Any discussion?
Just,
Go ahead.
okay. No, all right. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, that's
I was just gonna say, do we have many people that had to pay that late fee?
There were some last year, but it was minimal
Oh, good.
compared to previous
Because
years.
that's a
Yeah,
big- that's a
we
big
did
late
quite
fee.
well, so,
Yeah.
and I think we had moved it to June 1st as opposed, we had tried
May
May
1st.
1st, and the June 1st helped out a lot. and,
Good.
People seem to do that, so I think they're getting the hang of it, and then it has to come to 5 West Street, and then it has to be on time, so.
Okay, good.
So, yeah, I think we did well last year. Tonight I also have some information from the
I don't
food
think we
service.
voted,
No.
because I followed it
Oh, I
out.
apologize.
No, I apologize.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, it is a vote.
Thank you very much. So we'll work on getting that out to families
Yeah.
very shortly. Tonight I've also included some information from the food service department to share with you. Mrs. Janice King, our food service director, has been notified that Auburn High School and Auburn Middle School have both received $2,500 each for the Project Bread Breakfast Grant. These funds will be used to supplement the $5,000 she previously received, and she's planning to purchase breakfast carts at the two schools as part of the Grab and Go breakfast program, which she anticipates to begin in March of 2020. And I would ask that the committee accept these grants.
I would entertain that motion.
Make a motion to accept the gratitude grant fund from Project Bread in the amount of $5,000.
Second?
Any discussion?
She's really done wonderful
Yeah.
things for the district.
Yeah, she has.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yes,
kudos to her.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, it was a vote.
Next, the Auburn Public Schools is happy to welcome Adele Mayer as our new intern this year for the Food Services Department. You may recall that each year Mrs. King gladly welcomes a new intern to complete an internship here in Auburn. Adele is a student at UMass Amherst, and in addition to meeting the requirements of her program while here, she'll be assisting us with nutrition and recipe data entry work, as well as assisting in the marketing of our school nutrition program. So we're very happy to welcome Adele to our program. And then lastly, Dr. Burnell received some wonderful news too. She was recently notified by the Office for Food and Nutrition Programs at the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education that the operation of our food service program met all program requirements at the time of review. They also extended their appreciation to Mrs. King and her entire food service staff for their cooperation and assistance during the review. And as you've already said, that she does a wonderful job, but I really would like to commend Mrs. King and her food service department staff for the hard work that they put in to, we're very fortunate to have a very successful food service program here in Auburn, and we have a great staff to support it. And I know that the ladies that spoke previously were saying how nice a job that they did, and they do that in everything that they do. They have a great presentation, and they do a nice job, so I'd like to commend them, and I know as a committee probably would as well.
Oh, absolutely.
Right. And that was after their workday too, so I mean,
Right,
that shows great commitment to the district.
and we're very fortunate, so. And that's the end of my report. Thank
All
you.
right, thank you for that. And we now move on to policies.
So there is one policy, my recommendation is that we update it, and rather than have an individual's name listed, as you see there, it was Dr. Luzes, is to simply leave it as assistant superintendent, and that way it will be timeless.
Yep. I would entertain that motion.
Make a motion to approve the above named policy as presented.
Second?
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Aye, it was a vote.
Thank you.
And we do need an executive session,
We do.
so I would entertain that motion.
I'll make a motion to go into executive session as per Mass General Law, Chapter 30, Section 21A2, to conduct strategies for negotiations with union and non-union personnel.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Roll call vote.
Mrs. LaGos?
Yes.
Mrs. Cochran?
Yes.
Mrs. Holloway?
Yes.
Mrs. Karen?
Yes.
Mrs. Wolf?
Yes. Good night, everyone.
Night.